I have a dream, oh, I have a dream. Red, white, and blue, fly free, fly free. I believe, oh, I believe. Will you dream with me?
Good morning, everyone out there. Welcome to Changing Times. This is Wednesday, March the 16th, show number 50. Don, can you believe that?
It's hard to believe.
They haven't kicked us off Facebook yet. Now, you know, they've challenged some of the things that we talk about.
Which means we're doing our job.
I think that most of my friends, actually 100% of my friends, thinks that's a good thing when Facebook starts to criticize some of the things that we actually talk about. So, hey, thank you, Facebook, for doing that. We're all actually live on Facebook. You can just tune in Acts Media Group and go to the Facebook page, Changing Times, every Wednesday at 10 a.m. We have thousands of people that are watching our show, and we really appreciate that. We grow every week, and we're also live on YouTube, and we're also on Twitter, LinkedIn, Daily Motion, and Rumble. And Jim Whining and Pam, Jim is our CEO and Bishop for Acts Ministry, and they're here today. And Don and I are excited. We're going to go out to dinner tonight at Jim's Steakhouse. If you're from the Springfield area, you know that's one of the best places to eat. And we're going to be talking about 4 more social media platforms that we're going to be adding on in the next 30 days, which just means for an old dummy IT guy like me, I don't know how you get on them. But I can guarantee there's thousands of people who know how to get on each one of those social platforms. So that means that more people are going to be watching our show, and we really appreciate that. So we've got a great show lined up today. We've got Valerie Pister from Springfield Business Journal. How are you doing?
Good morning, everybody. I'm doing well. Thank you, Lynn.
Valerie, you and I go back a long ways. I look really old. You don't. So I don't know.
You're too kind.
I don't know how that's working out. But Springfield Business Journal is. We know that newspapers in general have really kind of fallen on hard times. A lot of younger people don't read newspapers. They want to get all their news from the internet. And I understand that is a fast way to do it. But, one of the things that I like about Springfield Business Journal, and we used to advertise in there with my pharmacies and things like that, is you have a niche market. Springfield Business Economy and around the area, because you don't just do Springfield, you also do some of the areas around,
right?
It is very robust. It's always been good. It's getting better and better. And so you found a niche market. And so we're going to be talking to Valerie Pistor today and just find out how is Springfield Business Journal thriving so much in the wake of everything else kind of declining and stuff like that. But before we get into that, we're doing a new community calendar, and we just started last week. So get your pencil and paper out and write this down if this interests you. And if you have something that's going on in Southwest Missouri that you want Don and I to talk about, we can spend 2 or 3 minutes to do that. So I'm spending the time now where you know that each week we're going to do that. So if you got some kind of event going on, so I'll give you an example. This Saturday, March the 19th, at the VFW in Springfield, that's at 1136 East Atlantic Street. From 11:30 till 3 p.m., we're going to have a chili cook-off. And so you can go, and we're trying to raise money for the education project that a bunch of us have got together and trying to do to raise money to come up with curriculums of teaching history, what we consider the correct way. And so, which has not always been taught in the schools today. And so you can go and you can just eat all the chili you want to, or you can actually enter your chili into and see if you can win some prizes and money. But that's at 1136 East Atlantic, 11:30 to 3 p.m. in Springfield, Missouri, and that's this Saturday. And so Mary Byrne, our guest, Dr. Byrne, she's a college professor and activist now, and she'd be proud we said that. There's something else going on next Thursday night. It was this Thursday night, but this is spring break in most of the schools around Springfield area. And so Ozark's got a school board meeting next Thursday night. and I'll be there, and there'll be a lot of parents there. So if you're interested, I will give you Christina Tonsing's email address next week. She's a professor at Evangel University. Her one son graduated from Ozark. She's got another son graduating this year from Ozark. And there's a lot of parents all over the country are beginning to wake up and want to have some say in their kids' education and letting their school boards know this. And so there'll be an important rally this next week. I just want to let people know next Thursday night, I'll see you there. They're trying to get more and more parents to go. And so I think that's important. And then the last thing is, and this is starting this Saturday, and it's going to go for 4 Saturdays in a row. Our friends down in Branson that we had on the air last year that started a Freedoms Encounter, where it really delves back with the starting of our country, the founding fathers, the importance of the Constitution, the preamble, the Bill of Rights, all the things that actually make us what we are in a republic today. That's all going to be shown on a special show down there, but they're raising money for 4 Saturdays in a row for Ukraine, the people in the country of Ukraine. And so we will have all that information next week. You can go online and look up Freedoms Encounters in Branson, Missouri, and find their phone number and buy a ticket. But it's only Saturdays only right now. And then we'll get more information next week as we start to do these calendars.
Lynn, there's something else. We're from Christian County. Super proud to be from Christian County. And the Nixpo is this Saturday.
Oh, that's right.
So feel free to stop by. There's going to be tons of businesses. What I remember from last year is lots of free food. I took my teenage son and he ate so many wings and just random things that were served there. But there was probably 100 different vendors last year. And there's a chance that the school board members running, that there'll be different people there that you can talk to. So It's a good opportunity if you live in Christian County to swing by the Nixpo.
Well, Don, I'm glad you said that because I have to be there at 9 o'clock. I'm at the Christian County booth and I'll be there until about 12 o'clock. I'm going to run up to Springfield and eat some chili. And I have to come back and close down the county booth and take all the stuff back.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to be there. So I'll see everybody too.
Busy day for you.
All righty. Well, let's get into Springfield Business Journal. That's what it's all about today. And so we're so glad, Valerie, that you're here today.
Thank you for
Give
having
me
me.
a little bit of background. You started it with Springfield Business Journal in
2007.
2007.
Yeah, I'm a salesperson with the company. But to give you a little history on the journal itself, we were actually, a lot of people don't know this, but we were the first business journal founded in the state of Missouri. We beat out St. Louis and Kansas City by a little bit.
Well, good.
But we're locally owned and operated, which is unusual. A lot of business journals are owned by, a conglomerate or a bigger publication that manages numerous publications. We are Springfield only. We cover a 50-mile radius around Springfield, and we're just business news. You mentioned niche earlier, Lynn, and that really is what we are. We're a niche publication, and I think that's a big part of our success right now. A lot of people, and I hear it every day, this is what I do for a living, print is dying. Well, niche publications are not. They are thriving. And think about why that could be, is the fact that you're not having to dig through a whole lot to get to what you want. We basically serve it up for you in a format that's easy to digest, that's got all the information that business owners, executives, C-suite level, and decision makers need to have. These are the things that can affect their business today and tomorrow. And so they don't want to miss out. We kind of call it appointment reading. We know that when the business journal goes out, we have the early Friday digital edition. It's an email delivery with a page turner software that is exactly this publication, but in digital format. Goes out on Friday afternoon. And I think the greatest thing is it goes about 3 o'clock when people are kind of starting to wind down for the week. And you don't really get in trouble at work when you're reading the business journal because it's all about business.
Right.
And so, and then of course the print publication, if you're a home subscriber, goes to your house on Saturday. And for businesses, it arrives Monday morning just in time for the executives to sit down and really dig into the news.
Oh, very good. And you started in 1980?
1980.
1980. And so been in business a long time. I know when I started my business in 77, And so we sold our business after 43 years, and
Yes.
you guys are getting right up there to that same mark.
Yep,
And actually, I want the listeners to know this because, Valerie, one of the things that we always tell people, and you tell Elizabeth and you tell the daughter, Diane, tell them that we said this, Don and I said this. I'm always looking for difference makers. I'm looking for people in society that are difference makers. They're making a difference in somebody's life or their business or whatever. And Don, what are you always saying?
Be the change.
Be the change. And so if you are being a difference maker and being the change, that's a powerful combo. And you guys are doing that. I want the listeners to know that this was started by a lady, Elizabeth.
Diane Elizabeth.
Diane
Elizabeth Osis.
Yeah. And then her daughter came along.
Yes.
When her mother retired.
Yes. Jennifer Jackson is our publisher now.
Yeah.
She is the daughter of the founder. So it has stayed in the family, and it's female owned and operated.
Right. And
think about 1980 though,
that's
Lynn.
pretty
You're
unusual.
familiar.
That's pretty unusual.
Can you imagine being a woman entrepreneur in 1980 in a man's business world, starting a business publication? I admire her so much for what she's done and what she started, and the legacy that she has left, and that now Jennifer is carrying forward.
I would think
really proud.
I would think that she would have had a lot of challenges. I know when I was on the school board at Ozark for 2 terms, 6 years, there was no men to begin with.
Right.
And can you imagine school boards today in 2022 that you'd have just a bunch of men and no women? My gosh, no wonder the school boards should be better today. We've got a good blend of men and women, and women just think so much differently and sometimes better than the men do. And so I think that we can be happy and know that we're blessed that we've evolved into that type of situation. But she was a pioneer. She was actually a pioneer.
Great way to put it.
Yeah, in what she does. Well, so what else do we need to know? And then Don's going to got some questions for you too. What else do we need to know about the history or anything else about Springfield Business Journal?
Well, I think that it's important to know that just like all businesses in this day and age, that we're having to evolve. We'll never leave our roots of credible, trusted reporting. We 3 sources for everything. I mean, this is real journalism. The reporters and editors at Springfield Business Journal are journalists, and they are not swayed. Whether you're an advertiser, they're not going to cover you more or less. It's all about newsworthiness. If it's newsworthy and it affects business in Springfield, we'll cover it. But we also play some of the traditional roles in Springfield that a business journal should, like having the events that help people propel their career and recognize lifetime business accomplishments, 40 under 40 and the 12 fastest growing companies, the Dynamic Dozen, the 20 men of the year, the 20 most influential women, trusted advisors, the people that are behind businesses.
Right.
As a business owner, you have to have a trusted group of advisors that aren't your staff members, but you have to be able to put trust in them. And we recognize groups of those people every year. The healthcare champions. Oh, I'm so proud of that event. The under celebrated and under appreciated people in our society, especially the last couple of years.
Sure.
But the journal has been honoring healthcare champions for many years now. So those types of things, I'm really proud, but they also provide opportunities for businesses to advertise to other businesses. So if you can think about the fact that we're a vehicle for the news, we're weekly, we publish every Monday, but we have a 24/7 website, we have daily e-news. We're really a 24/7 media outlet, but we just happen to only cover business news. Some people tell me if you only covered obituaries and sports, you'd have everything that we need. But we're not picking those up anytime soon. So
well, I tell you
we'll
what,
give you the business.
I tell you what, I think I read somewhere where you have 9 different events. Is it 9 or am I wrong? I think it's 9 different
named
events.
Off of most of them.
Yeah, and you did. You named over most of them. I participated in a lot of those.
Yes.
I was fortunate to win several of those awards myself or my company. And,
Yes.
And we really appreciate the recognition. One of the things I like is those different lists that you guys put out.
Yes.
That's a different kind of information. But when you have a bound book like that, let me have your magazine. I want to hold it up where people can see this. Thanks.
Sure.
So I mean, they got this book of lists, and they have all kinds of different lists. So they'll have the largest pharmacies. When they have a healthcare list, they have the section I was always interested in was pharmacies.
Sure.
I had pharmacies, and so they would have the list of inside there. They would have a list of all the pharmacies in Southwest Missouri.
Sure.
How many pharmacists they had, how many pharmacy stores they had, all that type of stuff. And there was all kinds of data that was in those books of lists. I don't know how many books you made out, but
well, so here's how it evolves.
so-
Every week we have an editorial calendar. So we have a focus section. Where did I put my editorial calendar? There it is. We have a focus section. So this is the calendar that's laid out week by week, 52 weeks. And each week, we're going to bring you the main news, the news that is just happening. It's going to be on the cover and in the front of the paper. But then about midway through, we have what's called a focus section. So every week there's a focus. And it could be anything from law to nonprofits, healthcare, technology, banking and finance, sports and business, small business, real estate, healthcare. I think I mentioned healthcare, architects and engineers, construction. So all of these different
Right.
things. Then each week there's a list that corresponds, usually 1 to 2 lists. So as you mentioned, in the healthcare issue, it might be the list of pharmacies and the area's largest hospitals,
Right.
and then so each of those lists are researched. We have to gather data from business owners and ask them all of these questions so that then we can rank the list. And each list is ranked by some very important key factor in their business. So for instance, on the pharmacy, since you're familiar, the number of pharmacists would probably be the ranking factor, licensed pharmacists. And so we publish those weekly. And then at the beginning of the following year, all of the lists that published, so for instance, the 2022 book of lists came out in January. It was all of the lists that had published in 2021.
Cool.
So, but they're published as they ran. We just don't have the ability to update them again before
Right.
they're published again.
Right.
So it's a historical document, but it's also a coffee table piece because people do hang on to it and refer to it throughout the year. And so we have a couple of things that we do that are pieces like that. The Book of Lists. We have the annual giving guide. We do a lot of support of nonprofit community through the giving guide. It gives them a platform to get in front of important people like business owners that are looking for charitable outlets that they can support. It is really becoming about business culture. Culture in businesses, people are looking for businesses that want to support things bigger and outside of themselves. And so the nonprofit community really needs an outlet
Right,
to get in
right.
front of this audience. And we love supporting them in the annual giving guide.
Yeah.
But you guys are absolutely difference makers because building a business is tough.
It is.
And you guys have made it very streamlined for people to plug and play their business of what's happening and, how they're growing and all of that. People probably don't realize that aren't in our area that we have such a phenomenal business area.
We do.
Like we are this, we're not a ginormous 1 million person community, but we have amazing things to offer and
We do.
amazing businesses that are, very boutique, very niche in themselves. I once heard that a lot of restaurants start out in Springfield before they go out to see if the franchise will actually work because we are just such a good demographic. So as far as our community goes, couldn't love it anymore.
Yeah.
But it's awesome how that you guys are able to capture the best moments and what's up and coming and, bring all that out. I also have to backtrack just a little bit. So
Sure.
you said that you guys have 3 people who verify facts that take place within the
Well,
magazine.
3 sources for every
3 sources.
story.
Okay, so I'm going to back up and
that could be
say
a source from the business
for what I
community.
said,
Absolutely. That's what keeps the trust and credibility, Dawn. That without the trust and credibility, people they're not going to tune in. If they start to question the credibility of what they're reading in the business journal, we no longer are the source that they need. So it's of paramount
Yes.
importance to have all of our facts backed up by
Now,
sources.
I know when I think of a new business, I automatically think of Springfield Business Journal. You know, that is just the next step that a business takes, is that they reach out to you.
I hope they do.
What information do you want to give the people on where they can reach out to you if they're interested in advertising in the magazine?
Sure. Well, there's two ways that you can be in Springfield Business Journal. Not everything has to be paid for. We have editorial features that are always free of charge. There is never a cost for editorial. And so you can be in the newsmakers, which is where we talk about promotions and new hires and people that got certifications and all of those types of things. They're right at the front of the paper every single week with a lot of faces and names of people. Oops, I passed right by it. And so the newsmakers are easy to submit, newsmakers@sbj.net. And you just send in a headshot and a small bio and what happened. What have you done? What do you want us to know about you? And then we also have a business spotlight every week. And so we just talk to different businesses and we ask them questions and find out what's new and going on in their business. We also have a conversation with. So usually the focus topic, we find somebody who's really relevant in that industry, and we just sit down and have a conversation with them and ask them some questions, get the answers about what's going on in their industry. We also have a section called Open for Business, and we feature 3 brand new businesses. It could be a business that's made a big move. Maybe they're existing, but they've made a big move. But we feature 3 businesses that are, making a difference and opening up or moving or expanding.
You need to interview Hobby Lobby and Mardell, because I can't hardly believe they've moved so fast over into their new.
I just saw the signage go up.
Yeah,
yes.
so I knew Mardell moved first, and that's a religious book and Christian Christian store. But now Hobby Lobby has also moved, and they're open as of yesterday. And so that's news. But, for all the businesses out there, get good at doing press releases and sending things to businesses like Springfield Business Journal, other news sources and things like that. If you can make an official press release from your company and give that pertinent information in short form, you'll print that. And that's just great free advertising, isn't it?
Absolutely. I'll be honest, we don't cover every single press release that comes through. We get thousands.
Probably a lot, yeah.
But when it's newsworthy and it pertains to the business community, absolutely, we do our best to cover those. I would tell you, write down sbj@sbj.net. That's our main email that goes to the entire newsroom. Get familiar with that. Introduce yourself. We're always looking for news ideas. We're looking for columnists, guest columnists, things like that. But think about the fact that we have a newsroom that's got 2 reporters, a web editor, our executive editor, and our vice president of external relations. These people are curating an entire publication worth of news every week. They rely on sources.
Right.
They rely on the business community. There is no AP feed for our editorial coverage. It's all curated in our newsroom. So please, if you know about news, we can't be everywhere all the time.
Right.
So we need people to submit ideas, story ideas, big news, and all of that. You also asked about advertising. And yes, one thing that a lot of people don't know, and Lynn, you talked about, when the content has to shrink because there's so much advertising, you can lose viewers or readers in our case. We never will have more than 50% ads in our publication for that exact reason.
Right.
For journalistic standards, number 1, but number 2, people are tuned in here because of the content. And so we always will be at least 50% news coverage. And the ads really just become part of the aesthetic. We don't want to sit down and feel like we're reading a textbook, right? You don't want to feel like it's just black and white, ink and print, but it's got feeling and color and visual beauty and lots of pictures of faces, because people are drawn to faces.
High quality photos inside that newspaper. So
Thank you. We have excellent photographers.
Honestly, it's just great. It's a fun paper to get pertinent information.
Thank you. We win national awards for just being a small,
so
one city publication.
Yeah, pretty neat. I've seen Kansas City's and I've seen St. Louis's paper too, and they're great.
Yes.
But honestly, I think yours is better.
I appreciate that.
So I really do.
Unfortunately, if you've only lived in Springfield and only read the Business Journal here in Springfield, you might be a little spoiled and not even know it because you have a world-class publication.
Yeah, you do. Right here.
But if you're not familiar with other publications, you may not know how great it is.
Yeah. We're going to take a break. I'm going to talk about sponsors and they'll get right. I tell you what, we've already learned so much today about the Springfield Business Journal. I'm just trying to create hope out there for people. That's what Donna and I try to do in this show is to, if there's somebody out there somewhere in the United States right now, or around the world, but especially in this country, and you want to start look at your communities, look at where you live, you might be able to start a newspaper like that. Mm-hmm. I probably wouldn't start a newspaper that has sports and obituaries and everything in there. Okay. I probably wouldn't do that today, but maybe a niche market of some type of publication would be good. So emulate great things that are being done in Southwest Missouri, and it could be done in any other state in this country. But we've got two great sponsors that have really helped us. And the first sponsor is Brad Pistor. He's a certified fiduciary financial planner. He's located in Ozark, Missouri. He owns Trinity Insurance and Financial Services. And I use him. So, Don and I, and a lot of Don's family members, she found that out after we had Brad Pistor on our show. Interesting enough, Janet and I were in Florida and we were eating breakfast out, and I got a USA Today and I was reading this financial retirement, and I was thinking about selling my stores and trying to figure out how I'm going to retire. And so we had some money we had to do something with. And so I was looking for somebody to do it with. And I read this article, Brad, and I thought his name was Pistol, but it's Pistor. And so I told Jan, I said, look here, read this article. And this guy's really smart. I wish we had somebody like that in our area. Well, God does stuff like this. This is really a God-led miracle story, because now I'm eating breakfast at Sands Restaurant, a little restaurant on the way to Sparta, between Ozark and Sparta, and I'm listening to I shouldn't be doing this, but I was listening to some men talking at the next table, and they said Brad Pistor. And I'm thinking, Brad Pistor. And so I said to him, excuse me, I said, I don't mean to be listening into you guys, but I said, you're talking about a financial planner? And they said, oh, yeah, he's the best in the state. And so I said, whoa. I said, where's he at? In Ozark, Missouri. So I looked him up. I called him, made an appointment, and everything after that's history, because, right now, of course, the stock market went up yesterday about 500 points. It's gone up about 347 points this morning. I checked it out. But guess what? When it went down 3,000 points, I didn't lose a penny. So I don't lose any money with the financial investments I have for my retirement planning. I don't lose any money. If we actually had a recession, I would lose no money. Okay. So you want to get with somebody that's got some financial plans that can make you money even when the stock market's going down. Mm-hmm. And that's why Brad Pistor. So you can call 417 area code 581-9222. 581-9222. Lisa and Hunter's going to answer the phone. They're going to give you a free book. They'll send you a free book called Safe Money Matters. It's a #1 best-selling Amazon retirement book. And he also has a brand new book that came out before the end of the year called Bulletproof. And it's just a continuation. You can get that free book. He doesn't charge for consultations, and he's licensed in more than one state. Brad Pistor, Certified Fiduciary Financial Planner. Yeah, another sponsor that we have that we really, really like is Youngblood Motor Group. And we had John Whitaker on there, and he's just a really good guy. He knows all about cars. And he and his partner, John Youngblood, they sell new cars, Nissan and Kia on South Campbell, 3525 South Campbell. And right across the street from the new cars is all the used cars. And I noticed this morning, used cars have gone up 41% in cost. And that's because you can't hardly get a new car because they're just not coming in. They can't get the supplies. They can't get the little, what is the little things they can't
The
get?
microchips.
Little microchips.
Yeah.
And so we need to start making microchips in our own country and control our own destiny. But anyway, he was telling us that you can pick a picture. They have pictures on windows. You pick out a car, and it take how long, Don, to get there?
8 months.
8 months. I mean, my gosh, we've always just been able to go to a showroom, pick out a car on the lot, drive it off, and now you can't do that. You gotta order ahead and stuff like that. So obviously, used cars, and they have all kinds of great used cars. So right across the street from 3525 South Campbell, I would recommend him. He also talked a lot about leasing, why you lease at certain times, why you buy at certain times, things like that. Talked about electric cars. They've got a really neat electric car we'll talk about sometime, because they've got one that you don't require a charging station. That's the kind I would vote to have one of those.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the next car I'll buy from them. I bought my last 2 cars from Youngblood Motors, and I'll probably buy
So
my
did
next.
I.
Yeah, did you? See,
Yeah.
there you go. There's
I
another
love
great
John and his
yeah.
team.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to have, and you now will be invited because you now are a VIP with our group. We're going to have a big summer party, and we're going to invite all the people that was here the first year, 52 weeks. And John's going to open
Just
up.
made it.
Yeah, you
Yes.
just made it. And we're going to open up the whole showroom and have food and music and things like that. And where people can network. We got all these important people been here for 52 weeks. And Don and I want to network everybody together.
I'm
where we can help
excited
each
for
other.
that.
So this is going to be fun this summer to do that. But Youngblood Motor Group, they have been in business 43 years. And I don't know of hardly any car dealer around the area that can claim 43 years.
Yep.
Family owned. Okay. So we'll go back to talking about.
So I've got some questions.
Okay.
You piqued my interest, and maybe you piqued somebody else's interest out there, but how would you, or who would you contact if you wanted to be a guest columnist?
So Christine Temple is our executive editor, and she would probably talk to you a little bit about that. And if I can be really transparent here,
Absolutely.
we keep a very strict separation of editorial and advertising at the Business Journal. It's kind of like church and state. And we do that on purpose because we never want anybody to think that advertising influences editorial coverage. So honestly, I'm being super honest here. I don't know the exact process, but I know you can reach out to Christine, ctemple@sbj.net. She can answer all of those questions and field
That just really
those
excites me
inquiries.
for the community, that if you have a story, if you have something that's relatable, then you could reach out and potentially get your story covered.
Absolutely.
So you guys are hiring for a few positions,
We are.
to be in this phenomenal organization. I'm sure you guys are just, waiting for the perfect person, and maybe that perfect person is listening in today.
Ooh, wouldn't that be wonderful?
So you guys are looking for a graphic designer.
Yes, and a graphic designer, it would be great if that individual also had some photography skills and maybe some videography skills. We're a small but mighty team, and so we wear a lot of hats. Especially in our production department, they're professionals. Whenever you advertise with Springfield Business Journal, all your production is included in the price. So we offer full service graphic design for your ads. We can do digital ads, videography, and of course, photography is part of that as well. And so we need some well-rounded individuals that can bring a lot to that team. So if you kind of fit that bill, we would love to hear from you. You could also send that to sbj@sbj.net.
Hey,
as
Valerie,
well.
is that a full-time job?
Yes, it would be.
Because I have somebody I might be able to recommend that just graduated from graphic design at Missouri State, I think last year.
Awesome.
So I'm not exactly sure what she's doing. So I will
Tell her about it.
I will.
And you're also hiring for a sales position.
Yes. I recently I'm a senior business strategist, have been since 2007. I wasn't senior at 2007, but I am now. But I also just recently became the sales manager and the leader of the sales division. And so we are looking for another full-time salesperson who loves to have a consultative approach. You have good conversations with business owners, find out if SBJ is the right fit, and if so, then let's create a custom plan to make their business goals happen. That's what we do. It's very consultative, and we want to make sure that it's the right fit for your business. And so if that's you, if that's something that you feel you're good at, that you're able to have great conversations with business owners and ask good questions, learn about their business and find out if there's a fit, then we'd love to talk to you. You can send that to advertising@sbj.net. And also, if you're interested in advertising, you can use that email as well. If you'd like information about advertising, or if you'd like to have that conversation to see if SBJ might be a fit for you, you can contact advertising@sbj.net.
Very good. Very good. Well, I tell you what, you got any more questions, Don?
Yeah. Do you want to talk more about the 9 live events that you guys go over?
We just had the 40 under 40 event. It was so much fun. If you can think about these young 40 up and coming young professionals having a great time, celebrating the fact that they're getting established in business. They're finding their way and finding ways to give back to Springfield. I think that is the most amazing thing about Springfield, Missouri, and I think both of you would agree with me. Our community is so generous and so involved, and the 40 under 40 are exemplary examples of that. They are just doing amazing things. And so I do want to point out one really unique thing that's different with Springfield Business Journal events and the honors that people receive. And some people don't really know this until they've experienced it, but we don't pick winners and losers. It's never a popularity contest. Really, what we do is we take nominations all year long on our website, sbj.net, for all the various events. When it comes time before that event, we gather all the people who have been nominated for that particular event, and we send them a submission packet. The packets are a little different for each event depending on what it's about, but the honoree, it's incumbent upon them to fill out this information to the best of their ability, tell their story, and submit it. And then we empanel independent judges. And most of those judges, Jennifer likes to call it the jury pool. It's kind of like getting on jury duty. We take past honorees that have experienced an event and now can see it from the other side by becoming a judge. So we usually have 4 to 5 judges for each event, and they go through all of the submissions. And so like for 40 under 40, it could be upwards of 100 or more, 150 submissions that they have to read through.
Wow.
And rank them. And then the cream rises to the top, as the saying goes. So the top 40 or whatever it is that we're honoring.
I hope that the audience can hear how much integrity the Springfield Business Journal has, because that's what I'm getting from you guys today on all fronts. You know, the separation from the advertisement, the way that you guys actually choose these honored people that come through. It's why you guys are shining. You know, it's all built on a good foundation, and it's why I love you guys for the news.
Our entire team thanks you for that.
I've got an idea.
What's that, Lynn?
So you tell Diane. So I just turned 73.
Yes.
And I think that you need to have a category, and I don't know if we can find 73 live people or not 75 and under, but maybe we ought to have some kind of award for still making it through.
I love that, Lynn.
Many years.
When you're still going after 70, yes, and making a difference.
Yeah. And so maybe tell Diane that an old guy that was on the studio said, hey, maybe you ought to do that.
Well, Lynn, on that note, you would actually be telling Jennifer, because Jennifer took it over.
Yeah, Jennifer.
But that's another idea. Like Brad Pister with his business, it was his grandfather's, then his, and now his son. I love the multi-generational coverage of businesses too.
Jennifer has 2 daughters, so there's still hope that it could go on to the third daughter generation.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, at the 40 under 40, it's funny, Lynn, a gentleman who is probably in your similar age group, he said that we should have the 80 under 80. And I said, boy, I don't know.
It may take you more than a year to find 80 people that would want to be in that group. But no, I do. As you know, I wonder about anything in life, and that we always want to remember our seniors, and
Absolutely.
there are still a lot of seniors doing great things out there. So I always will put a plug in for the seniors, and you young people
Go
on the other,
seniors.
and you young people on the other side. That then we'll root for you too. But how much time do we have left, Mr. Producer? 5 minutes. Well, okay. Well, let me ask you a question. So, what's your your viewing audience? The people that they're mostly business people, right? And employees.
They typically are. So if you think about it this way, we have about 45,000 weekly readers.
Okay.
And so, but there is no magical switch in your brain that turns off, that stops you from being a person, a mom, a dad, a homeowner, so yes, they're business people, but they're people. At the root of it, they're people. The neatest thing about this, I think, that brings the immense value to advertisers, pardon me, is the fact that over 80% of the people that read the journal are homeowners. Unfortunately, in Springfield, Missouri, we have a very low rate of home ownership compared to the rest of the nation. So for businesses that need to reach homeowners, this is invaluable because the vast majority of our readers own their home. They're also highly educated, far and above the average in the community. So if you're looking for people that are upper educated, upper income, it tends to come with being in business and being a business owner or executive or decision maker. So we have a very specific audience, and that lends itself well to certain advertisers. Of course, business to business, but then anybody that has, a high-end product or maybe does consulting of some nature, we're a great place for those people to reach their audience with a lot of frequency and consistency very easily because of the nature of what we do. Well, I sold radio and television before, so I know that, especially nowadays with fractured, screens, with so many platforms where people like YouTube are, watching things, it's more and more difficult to get somebody's attention. But the great thing is that we can get their attention every single week and really every day through SBJ.
Well, and one good thing about it, Valerie, is, we're in high inflation rates. We haven't seen, in 40 years, I think we were at the highest inflation rate in 40 years. Some experts, Donna, are going to have some economists on because there's a lot of things going on, dynamics going on in our country right now. So we've got them lined up. I'm lining them up. But a lot of people are predicting a recession. That's not going to be good. But I think your paper, because it's a certain strategic niche market, that even during inflationary times, I think those people are going to still be watching your paper very closely, looking over your paper every week. And I think even if we went into recession, I pray that we don't, but if we do, I think your paper is still going to be extremely important. That's why I'm hoping the listeners and viewers out there today, there may be somewhere in this country, and you guys would talk to them. I know that your owners would talk to them, or you would talk to them and help them start another newspaper. There may be a lady out there, or even a man, that might say, hey, I love journalism. That's what I went to school for. I think I'd like to start a newspaper like that. So you'd help those people, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
And so that's what we try to do on our show, is to kind of brag about what we know here in Southwest Missouri, and then hopefully somebody will repeat it someplace else.
Sure.
So
I would venture to say that a publication like this is more important in difficult times than it is in the great times.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When COVID hit, people went home. They weren't in the office to be able to talk about things, and our readership did not go down at all.
See?
People needed this news, and it was a way that it got to them, and they didn't have to go to it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very good. Very good. Well, I tell you what.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Well, hey, we appreciate you.
Thank you very much for coming on.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, tell Diane that we missed her too. I understand she was traveling this week, and we were trying to get both of you on there, and or Jennifer.
I will let her know.
Let Jennifer know that, because I think she was traveling this week, and I appreciated just visiting with her last week on the phone and stuff like that. But we're through for this week. We ask everybody to please have a great weekend. Pray for Ukraine. We'll be back live next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Show number 51. We're getting ready to have show number 52, a great party.
1, 2, 3. Can I get a hoorah from a patriot like me? Can I get